Welcome to the Root of Our Health podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth, a corporate burnout in the fashion world turned board certified health and wellness coach, functional medicine certified health coach, speaker, and an all-around health nut. This podcast was created to educate and inspire you to live a healthy life mentally, physically, and emotionally by using alternative methods for prevention and healing. With a combination of solo episodes along with highly trustworthy professional guests, we get to the root cause of health-related issues to arm you with knowledge and tips for your well-being so you can live a life full of vitality no matter your age. Are you ready? Here we go. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Root of Our Health. This is actually going to be my last episode. I have decided to move away from this podcast. As much as I love doing this podcast, it just does not fit into my schedule, and I'll go through that in just a moment. But yes, this is a sad, bittersweet actually day in terms of recording the last episode, which is a solo episode, short, of course, of this podcast. I believe and I know I did actually go through how it got started in past episodes. So of course, if you heard it, you know. If not, I started this podcast back in 2020, actually October of 2020. Obviously, it was the time of the pandemic. We were still, I was living in Dallas, so lockdowns were actually uplifted. Not entirely, obviously, but in terms of working from home when I was in an office job. And at the same time, I was getting certified as a functional medicine health coach. And I was sitting at my, the island of my kitchen, which actually served also as the podcast area. So that was fun. But I was sitting there and I'm like, at this point, also podcasts were getting extremely well known and popular. And I was listening to some of them. And I figured, why not start a podcast? And, my mind was going towards women over 40 because I am and was at the time also a woman over 40 going through her own health journey, and so to speak. And, obviously learning at the same time, I figured, why not? Why not now? And I think that is a question we all should be asking ourselves in general. Why not now? What is stopping you from doing the thing, right? So we're all scared, or we all tell ourselves some excuse one way or another. Again, in anything in life, it could be what you're starting a project. It could be going to school. It could be taking the job. It could be a relationship. It could be anything. And what we tend to do is put it off because we are scared, but that being scared is actually the push toward to doing it at that moment. So I actually paid and also got a freebie in terms of how to do it, right? So it's not as easy. It is easy. It's not hard, but it's not as easy as just plugging in and talking. It could be, of course. There's so much behind it, and that's another reason why I've decided to go away from this podcast. There's so much behind it. There's a lot of recording and promoting and editing and putting things together. And it is maybe in the early days, it's in early days of starting and early days of podcasting, it was just putting out there and that was it. Great. Obviously you'll see or you'll hear my earlier episodes, how maybe cringe worthy they were. And I tend to think that I got a little bit better. Sometime, actually, I think in the last 4 or 5 months, or maybe even 6 months, my interviews have exponentially gotten better in terms of conversation. I still was trying to find my voice, still was trying to understand the format of the episodes, and some of the guests, in terms of being more scientific or being more above my head a little bit, I should say. Maybe doing a little bit more research was something that I could have done, but have done since then. But you have to start somewhere, right? So I started on my kitchen counter and was there until I moved to Indiana. So I started in Dallas, moved to Indiana, and brought the show with me, and did actually do 2 episodes a week, only because I was working on my own company, and the podcast was part of that company, and I had more time to interview and put out episodes and do all the things, still again trying to find my voice. So 2021 and then 2020 until last year, I was in Westfield, Indiana, and then moved to Indianapolis just to get a different uh, area and different, I don't want to say point of view, but just different area, different environment. Obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously. It's not the right word, but I got divorced 3 years ago, or separated and divorced. So went through a lot and went through a lot of change, a lot of finding myself in it, as as a woman, as a human being, as just in general. Um, and it was for the best for both of us, but in general, I put it out on this podcast. So a lot of my solos, here and there, were me having this platform to put out what's going on in my life. I lost my mom, and I put out an episode on that. I lost my dad before I started this podcast, so really didn't have parents, and then grieving, loss of anything is a grieving, right? So just, divorce, how, if it was good or bad, parents, things like that. So I use this platform as a getting things out there and off my chest, so to speak, for people listening, and really to put it is inspiration, I think, out there, that, or at least that we're not alone in all of this. And it's just we're going through hard times regardless of what it is. We're not alone, and I wanted to kind of use again this platform to put out what I was going through at the time as a release. I, of course, journal. That's been my number one release. Therapy, of course, that's been my number 2 release, and then this podcast has been my number 3 release of just getting things out there and going through my own life, and for people to understand that, again, we're not alone. And we, of course, as an individual, need to be health, and health and well-being is front and center regardless. I've had my ups and downs the last just in general, through alcohol, through just, again, stress, through a lot of things. But of course, all through that, I've also been grateful. I've been grateful for the gift of who I am, what I do, and who's in my life now, right? So had to go through hard times, still go through hard times. It's it's never easy. It just gets easier. Right? We get resilient. We're able to face the fears, face the hurdles a little bit easier, because each and every time we get that resiliency, we get that bounce back. And that's why I think, and I know, we need to go through hard times to get to the good. There has to be that balance. There has to be that yin to the yang. If we have it cushiony and very, easy in life, first of all, that's freaking boring. I would hate that. I guess that's just how I operate, or how a lot of people I know and coach through operate as well. Like we got to do the hard things to appreciate what we have, and to also appreciate either the luck or the what we do and what we do get in our lives. How the universe does conspire with us, and not against us. Um, so yeah, I of course have used whatever I could to move through and to grow in these hard times. Um, so that is how it started. Okay, so this is like and plus last October, in the 4-year anniversary, or going into the 4 years, I did a relaunch, right? So thinking that, yes, I wanted this to be more than what it is. And each and every year I tried that, and I tried to strategize, and yes, I needed people to do the either editing or the producing and the videoing. I had a mindset on or a vision on what I wanted this podcast to be, and very well, it has a great theme, topic, everything. So the root of our health speaks to what this platform is, or this podcast is. It is functional medicine, meaning the root. We're getting to the root cause of our health. And I figured, that was just a general title for it. And then focusing in on women over 40. And at one point, this even into the 4th-year anniversary, I wanted it to then encompass everybody, right? So some of my interviews can help everybody, but I realized that really we need to kind of literally focus in on a demographic, because if I focus in on, or put it out there for every single person, young, old, male, female, whatnot, I lose the listeners, because I want everybody to listen, which is fine. But at the same time, focusing in on a demographic is more is beneficial to a podcast versus just out there, for everybody. So yes, I definitely had a vision to make this bigger. And it wasn't just this past year, but each year I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this bigger. However, life dictates otherwise, as it should, or as it does, right? I I don't know if I put it out there, probably not, just because it's not public. But I'm moving back to Chicago June 1st. So this is a move that I'm from Chicago, by the way, born and raised, all my family, all my friends. I do have some friends, a friend here and there. I'm sorry, here in Indiana. it was time. It was time for me to move back. It is time for me to move back. I say that, when I moved to Indianapolis a year ago, I moved into a big 2-bedroom, 2-bath, nice apartment, two balconies, very huge space. And I'm like, I felt more isolated and alone in this big space than I do in the small space I'm going to be getting, when I move. But space to me does not matter at this point. I'm a, one person and one cat. So, I'm good with a smaller space if I am surrounded by people that I love and that love me, family, friends, just the environment alone. I could walk, literally, I was there a couple days ago and walked around the neighborhood, and I, yes, I'll miss, the walking in nature, but I'll find eventually around there. Um, However, it just felt home. I felt home, like a warm blanket, right? Comfort. And given what I was telling you in terms of what I was going through, grieving and loss and just everything in general, even, the company I work for is going to be closer. And so it's, again, I'm not getting any younger, and I think it's just time for me to realize that Chicago was and always will be my home. And I say this, and then of course, again, I don't know if I've said this in the past, but Italy will be my resting place in terms of my ending home. So that is why, one of the reasons why I'm this podcast is going to be no longer and closed. The other reason is that I want to focus more on, so, I'll have a full-time job or a job, a regular job, but I also want to focus in on my coaching. I just got certified as a menopause health coach. So I have functional medicine certified health coach, board certified health and wellness coach, and a menopause health and wellness or health coach. Soon, also, I'm thinking about going into employee. I don't know the exact name. I think it's workplace wellness coach, something like that. Certified in that, so I can get a full round of what I love to do, and so that is what I'm focusing in on. Again, I thought this platform could elevate my ability to get coaching clients, which actually, funny thing, it did when I did send out, my email blast and things like that. But I felt also that I was not giving 100% in both. I was doing the bare minimum for podcasts, doing what I was always doing, recording and then just slapping things together, making sure that the audio, sounded cleaner. The video was, AI. Now you can use all of these tools, which is amazing and, very, very helpful. But I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I was giving my all. And I was getting inundated with all of these emails of, people wanting to be on my, as a guest on the podcast, which is amazing. At least I don't have to, I can obviously filter out those who, I wouldn't think would be a great fit, but I don't have to scour and do all the searching, just a little bit. Um, And so, yes, I'm forever grateful that the podcast was getting traction in terms of people wanting to be on it. Unfortunately, the listeners was not there, and I didn't get the numbers that drove this podcast to be better than what it is. And hey, I'll take full responsibility of that, because the promotion of it is way more than just the recording. You have to promote it, you have to get it out there, you have to email blast, you have to do all of that. And it took more out of me than or I didn't have the capacity actually to do it. I was getting more responsibility at my full-time job, and then plus the certification, and plus the website, and plus, so I personally, when I move, I really don't want to be spending all my time inside. I'm just going to be honest, right? So I'm moving in summers, and summers in Chicago are amazing. And so I don't want to happen or half-ass this. I don't want to have to do replays and to, like, so just thinking strategically in terms of what this podcast could have been. And unfortunately, I could not put my all into it. And so that is the other reason why I am stepping away and focusing on coaching, okay, health coaching. I will put my website and my email address into the show notes, as it always is. Again, my coaching is going to be geared towards women who are going through perimenopause and menopause. Okay. Of course, I can coach in any area, because as an employee wellness coach, I coach men, women. I coach, weight loss and nutritional quality and exercise and mental well-being, all that stuff. And so I could definitely, if you need a health and well-being coach, please do reach out to me regardless. But my focus is on women going through perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause. Again, I'll put all of the information in the show notes. Please do reach out to me if you are going through this transition that is obviously affecting many women. And I can't say over 40, because women, mid 30s are even experiencing early perimenopause. So, please do reach out to me, because we do not have to go through the, just the many symptoms and the horrible feelings. We can lessen that so much by taking care of our health, and we don't know this, right? I was learning, and I'm currently learning in terms of me going through perimenopause and then going through menopause and post. So I'm just in the beginning of this all, but there needs to be more conversation, and there also needs to be more health coaches in terms of guiding women through this transition in a healthier manner. The other thing that I wanted to also bring up is I did a few more interviews that have not been released on on audio or video yet. I am cutting off the audio completely the end of this month. So this is coming out on the 22nd of April. So at the end of this month, I'm cutting off all audio. So that means that some of the interview, or the balance, which I think is 4 or 5 interviews that I have done, I am not discarding them 100%. They're just not going to be in audio format. I am putting them in on my YouTube, channel, which, by the way, is not going away. So that is where you can find The Root of Our Health is my YouTube channel. All past interviews, even solo episodes that I've done, recorded, on there. And then these new interviews are going to be releasing one at a time. And so please do check back there. Please do actually subscribe so that I am going to continue making videos going forward. It's just not going to be like in an interview portion or, things like that. But I'll definitely, put more content out there in terms of, um, you know, health and wellness and, you know, everything like that. So it's still there, just not the audio format. You will have to listen to the video. Obviously, you don't have to watch it. You can listen to it and just have it on. But yeah, so you can find there, and it'll also be in the show notes. So please do go and subscribe so you get all of the videos at your fingertips. Um, Again, my website is functionalhealthcoaching.net. Email address is elizabeth@functionalhealthcoaching.net. Please do email me. Go to my website, and I'm currently working on a few things, adding and editing my website a little bit. So you'll find things are changing a little at this point, but I have had a blast the last 4 years doing this podcast and talking to you all. And I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Those of you that show up each and every episode, the first ones, I know, I see the areas, I don't know who, of course, but the areas that are just always supporting this podcast and the episodes. And again, YouTube is not going away. It'll still be there. So please, if you want to continue supporting, please do support that. But I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart with just listening to these amazing interviews that I've done, which are fun. I've got to meet some amazing professionals, some that I couldn't believe that I actually interviewed. And it goes to show that, when you love something so much that it just speaks volumes, and people can feel it and they want to be part of it. And yes, it's a platform to promote others as well. And I'm cool with that. I want alternative health and well-being to be out front and center in this world, in this life, and so people can understand that we don't have to be a sick society. We can definitely thrive in a healthy manner, whatever that looks like for you. And I really hope that this podcast has been your savior, or at least an inspiration for you to take care of your own health and well-being. You're not going to hear the last of me, but I am going to sign off in terms of the Root of Our Health podcast. Thank you so much, and you are worth it. Take care.